Welcome back to Krusty Car News, and we have 5 new hot topics for you this week. First of all, breaking news. Ford dealers will be forced to shut down. Car repossessions are way worse than I ever imagined. Caution, lot rot is real and unknowing buyers are getting rooked. We also have an experience of somebody who got ripped off at the local dealer, and with Dodge, Ram, Jeep sales plummeting, the CEO is gone. Firstly, let's start with breaking news. Ford dealerships are likely to be shut down.
Ford says the engine intake valves in the cars may break.
But many experts think that many dealers won't make it if forced to sell EVs.
That means we make more money on a hybrid than on internal combustion F-150 now.
Growing inventory, sales are down with quality control issues and the electrified market, with the CEO visiting China to see what they were doing better. The Lightnings were not selling because the range was extremely poor, the prices were really high, and customers were just tepid in terms of overall buying these. They weren't interested in the electrified market in North America, and so sales toileted on the Lightning as they did on the Mustang Mach-E. The CEO Jim Farley, as well as the CFO Lawler, decided to take a trip down to China and look at what the Chinese were doing, how they were manufacturing their vehicles, and as well, how did they drive? What was the overall response? What was the quality control like? And how would they stack up against the North American products, for example, built by Ford? And Ford promised to deliver some affordability to the full-size pickup truck buyers by offering them an alternative. When we look at a Ford F-150 like this vehicle right here, and it goes for a sticker of $78,000, that's hardly affordable. So then Ford offered up a small compact version of a pickup truck just to get the job done for a lot of people. And these vehicles here clearly is the loaded up version, the Maverick, and this is the Lariat version, which in other words, you can get an XL, XLT, but the Lariat, you get a rear slider, which is extremely small. Look at that. You get a little spray and liner, a lot of great little detail. You do get a hitch or a receiver with this Maverick, and it does come with all-wheel drive, which is handy because they weren't originally set up that way. Yes, you get some nice rims on there and nice detail. They even give you a little sunroof on the roof there too. And look, there's leather interior. Gotta like that on this Lariat. But what was supposed to be an affordable pickup truck that was initially supposed to be priced in the 20s, now we're seeing Lariat versions of this into the $50,000 range. The other issue is some of the quality control challenges. These small Bronco Sports that we're looking at right here, as well as the Escapes, sharing a lot of the same engines and the drivetrains and the 1.5s, and they actually have fuel injector issues which were held to account to have the rectified by NHTSA. That's right, National Highway Transportation Safety Administration said you have to fix it, because initially Ford said, oh, we'll patch it for you. We'll put in a little sensor, we'll watch for leaks, we'll watch for pressure drop, and we'll shut off the fuel pump in the event of a fuel leak. That doesn't sound very effective, does it? Ford realizes they have a serious uphill battle. A lot of the Ford F-150s like these vehicles, but 21 and 22 model years specifically, as well as the Ford Broncos, the full-size Broncos like these, and several other models that carry the 2.7 and 3-liter V6 engines. The EcoBoost engines have found to be very problematic. That's right, there's about 91,000 recalls for the possibility of the engines catastrophically failing in one of these brand new vehicles. The 2.7 and 3-liter V6 engines now are being recalled in the Broncos, the F-150s, and several other models for an issue with the intake valves in the engine that they could crack, split, and then the heads fall into the combustion chamber, resulting in a catastrophic failure. CEO Jim Farley and CFO John Lawler were apparently shocked and impressed with the quality that they saw of the EVs in the Chinese marketplace. Jim says this is nothing like before, and Lawler reportedly told Farley, these guys are ahead of us. So Ford management, as well as many other manufacturers within North America, are pushing back very hard on the Chinese electric vehicle marketplace, knowing that they're going to bring a competitiveness that none of these domestic products can actually even come close to matching. It begs the question, how long can Ford hold on? Even with Ford sales on the rise, can they survive the electric vehicle market once Chinese roll in, as well as all of the quality control challenges that they're forced to repair? I was wrong. Repossessions of cars are far worse than I ever could have imagined. With about 4 or 5% of the average car loans over $1,000 a month. On the US side of the border, on the Canadian side of the border, I'm seeing the average car loans going from $1,000 to $1,500 a month. And as well, the average car payment or the average purchase price for new vehicles right now in the United States is around $48,000 and change. With, according to Experian statistics, $655 is the average monthly car payment. That's the average. The more often than not, people overpaying for a lot of these highly priced pickup trucks. And it's these trucks that have caused a lot of grief. A lot of people have got in over their heads, paying $70,000, $80,000, $100,000 for a brand new truck. There was government handouts. They were given cash to go buy their new cars and boats and quads and toys and all of the things that in general, most cases did not need. Of course, interest rates were low. People felt good about it. But now we're seeing a place where interest rates have skyrocketed. And even with the Fed just recently dropping the interest rates, they only did that just marginally with 50 basis points just to keep things under wraps. The average interest rate right now on a new car loan is in that 6, 7, 8%. I've heard even some cases 9%. And unfortunately in a used car, it's up around 14%. So a lot of people are still buying cars at these extraordinarily high interest rates. But in some cases, as we've seen and we've shown examples in the past, people are paying over inflated rates. You know, these price hikes on a lot of these vehicles. And even after there's some of these incentives that these dealers and manufacturers are throwing at customers, it's getting people in the door. And strangely enough, people are buying these cars. They're spending their money. They're throwing their cash down and buying these overinflated balloon vehicles. With a lot of these vehicles waving bye-bye, affordability is going by the wayside, and as well, people are giving their keys back to their brand new vehicles in an alarming and record way. They're in a negative equity. They're underwater. And as a result, a lot of people are finding themselves having to walk away from their loans. The banks are calling for loans. Delinquencies are up. We're seeing repossessions rising at an alarming rate. The worst part is most of these cars only have a warranty period of 3-4 years. In other words, you know, warranty's up. They're still making payments on their car for 7 years or more, 8 years, but the warranty went bye-bye at 3 years. And now they've got, 60, 70, 80,000 miles on their vehicle. Now it starts needing repairs. So what's starting to happen now, people are stuck between a rock and a hard place. The only way the repossessions can get any better is people learn to live within their means. The next topic is lot rot.
A lot of vehicles, like a lot of these along this row, have been sitting here for a significant amount of time. A lot of manufacturers like Porsche, being a luxury brand, haven't been selling like hotcakes. But we also know vehicles like the Nissans that we're looking at here, we're seeing lineups and lineups of brand new SUVs by Nissan. They're not selling very well either. And the OEMs, or the manufacturers, are actually incentivizing salespeople to sell old school, brand new, old stock vehicles. Vehicles that might already be a year or 2 years old are still not selling, and the OEMs are really pushing these vendors to sell those new old stock Nissan products. Meaning that a lot of these vehicles are sitting on the lot for a year, possibly 2 years. People don't like these so much, in fact, so look, people are actually ripping parts off of these vehicles because the electric vehicle market is not as popular as a lot of people think. There's people that love EVs and there's people that absolutely despise EVs. Regardless, a lot of these vehicles are sitting on the lot for a significant amount of time.
Caution to the people that are out buying their vehicles. Sure, they might be getting great incentives on brand new 2022, 2023 model years, but remember, lot rot takes a toll. Tires, brakes, batteries, it all has an impact.
The average, when the industry average day supply is around 76, a lot of these vehicles by Stellantis are often averaging 150, 160 day supply. And believe it or not, there's about 2 years to 3-year-old vehicles on these lots already. That's right, there's 22s, 23s galore on a lot of these car lots. What sort of problem does that cause? Whether it's the paint that shines, of course you get birds crapping on them, and that naturally does stain paint. Paint as well, subjected to heavy sunlight, does start to deterioration on that. Plastic starts to wear, because a lot of people park their vehicles in carports or garages. A lot of those factors aren't an issue once you buy it, but the longer they sit out on the lot, the more sun fade you start to see on plastic parts, which a lot of vehicles carry that these days. Paint all takes a toll. Warranty in most cases starts from the day that you write on the paper. So today is 2024. If you're finding a 2022 because it's a great deal but it's brand new old stock, most manufacturers will give you the warranty start effective the day you write on the dotted line. Another big problem, when you look on the sidewall of the tires, these tires are not good forever, at least not safely. A lot of people will run them till there's nothing left. But just because you have lots of tread on the tire doesn't mean that tire's good. If that vehicle gets to a point where it's about 9 or 10 years old, it starts to develop little fissures and cracks and divots, and it starts to become slightly unstable. And a cracking tire after about 10 years just becomes literally unsafe. And especially when people are buying SUVs, pickup trucks like this, they're towing weight. That puts a lot of burden, a little extra strain on the tire suspension, and it becomes a literal safety hazard. And now the worst part is you get into hybrid vehicles, they have bigger batteries, or electric vehicles, they have even bigger batteries yet. And if you don't continually charge them, they will deteriorate. They have a limited shelf life. It ages like the rest of us. We age like fine wine. But a lot of these vehicles do age, and it does end up costing the buyer a little bit more money.
So if you're looking at getting a great deal on a 2 or 3 year old brand new vehicle, make sure you take lot rot into account. The next one, if a dealer is trying to charge you this, run. It's at the very top, 41,000 and change, okay? Then there's administrative fee. They go and tack that on. But why are you paying for a finance setup fee? Why? Because you have to move from the salesperson's desk over to the finance officer's desk, and then they're going to charge you hundreds of dollars for that? That absolutely seems ludicrous to me. Then we have this 5-star tier 2 for 2,200 and change, okay? Over $2,000 for this 5-star protection package. Now this is where it gets interesting. I received an email recently after an outcry that the Mercedes dealership wouldn't own up to a warranty claim. But now this email with this passionate customer has a Mercedes-Benz, was forced to pay all these extra fees when they bought their slightly used Mercedes, and now believing that they had warranty coverage to protect from damage to rims and glass as part of this warranty protection package, they get declined. After paying this $2,000 fee, which essentially included a few options. Now, we hear about this all the time. Key fob being one of them. If you have a problem with your key fob, they may or may not fix that or replace it, potentially. Rim protection. Okay, this was one of the bones of contention. The unfortunate part is they scraped a rim and went back to the dealer and said, look, hey, I've got this package here. I've got this. I need to get the wheel fixed. I curbed it going around a corner, scraped the wheel. The tire's in okay shape. Everything's fine. Structurally, the tire's fine. Can we get this polished up? Well, so after going to the dealer, the customer was very upset, believing that this $2,000 tab that they were paying for extra protection didn't protect them at all. So the dealer came back and said, declined. You actually have to have the type of failure that would destroy the tire, then coincidentally would damage the rim enough that would warrant a replacement or repair of that rim. That's what they're telling the customer after the fact. But the rubber wasn't damaged, so they were declining the option. But they had all these gouges and scratches in the wheel now. What are you paying $2,000 for? A couple of sheets of glass and the chance that you might absolutely destroy your rim by crashing into a curb hard and wrecking everything? In which case, we know if you're hitting something hard enough that you're blowing out a tire, you're wrecking your rim, there's a good chance you're breaking suspension, and you might even cause some body damage with how these cars sit so low today. In which case, most often than not, people are going to their insurance company. So why are people getting rooked into this? So when you're buying your next brand new or used car, make sure you read the fine print. Next news story, unfortunately with Dodge, Ram, Jeep, and all of the other Stellantis products like Chrysler, Alfa Romeo, and beyond, it begs the question, because of their brutal sales that are absolutely plummeting in the last couple of years, is it directly related to the CEO? And in fact, is that CEO planning to retire? CEO Tavares is gone. With sales in the tank that we're looking at the last 10 years, we've seen nothing but a massive decline. For all three of the key brands, the Stellantis means with lots and filling up day supply, over expanding a double, triple of what the industry average is, clearly sales aren't what they should be. Buyers have been very clear what they're looking for. Reliable and cost effective, neither of which Stellantis, in many people's opinions, have hit the mark. Lacking of innovation, stale products, and the fact that they're largely priced out of the market for a lot of the middle class and the people, the buyers, who are actually targeted for those products in the first place. And then to put a little salt on the wound, a couple major impacts. Obviously, earlier this year, we saw a 60% increase in the CEO's wage. That's right, up to $39 million is what he started to earn. And that's after 2 short years ago, where it was rejected to give the CEO an increase Tavares now is one of the top paid CEOs in the automotive industry. But yet, Tavares is refusing to give in and promises that the future looks to be one of zero emissions and high innovation. Now, the CEO's contract expires in January of 2026, regardless of what happens. The real conundrum is the fact that buyers are looking for a break. They're steering away from the brand. They're looking at alternatives. They're going to GM. They're looking to Ford, and even some of the European versions that aren't necessarily under the Tavares branding. Also, people are looking European and Japanese brands because they know they can trust those. But the unfortunate part is we don't know what the future holds. That's what the unknown is. With all these plummeting sales and the catastrophic failures in the environment that is Stellantis, it begs the question, how long can we go on? How long can this continue? And the worst part is we don't know if he will continue on. They're actually saying, Bloomberg, after an interview, is also saying that the Stellantis chairman, John Elkann, has actually started with the new CEO replacement, possibly, but not ruling out an extension to Carlos Tavares' contract. With all of that said, be sure to check out that video, and you're going to want to check out that news story. That is absolutely riveting. Hope to see each and every one of you on the next one. We'll see you all real soon. Bye-bye.